Yeah, I knew I was playing William Shakespeare, but I think with so I knew that bit. The rest, hot mess. But
the perspective of the story kind of creates a new context for people to understand Shakespeare's Hamlet, which we think we know so much about, and yet we're sort of learning new things about the play.
Yeah. So when I read Maggie's book, it's very clear to me from this story that Hamlet is very much about love and death. And it is about how close these two things can be with each other and how they can alchemize into each other through deep grief and also through creativity and storytelling.
Because Paul, Shakespeare's name isn't even spoken until fairly
late
far
in
into the story. How did that impact your performance? Like, in a sense, did you feel like you were playing William Shakespeare, or were you approaching it in a different way?
well, you are yeah. I knew I was playing William Shakespeare, but I think with so I knew that bit. The rest, hot mess. But no, I did know that. But I think the story is kind of liberated me from that kind of constraint, that it doesn't center on his story. Like the end of the film centers on the writing of the play and it makes sense of it, but I think it was just a great opportunity, and it exists in the book, in Maggie O'Farrell's book, that I just think that there's a different, I think Maggie has a different opinion about who Shakespeare is than saying necessarily academics. I wasn't necessarily interested in an academic take on him. I think he was interested in the nature of human beings, and I think there's a real propulsion to him as a human being. And I think the thing that was most interesting to me was exploring the family dynamic and the story of a marriage and being a father, and the kind of play becomes secondary up until it becomes the center of the film at the end of it. So I enjoyed that those facts kind of liberated me from the mantle of playing William Shakespeare. Yeah.
Because Jessie, how did you find the aspect of the story that is about motherhood, your character trying to sort of like build and maintain a family, I think in some ways is surprising to people that that's such a focus of the story. Like how did you find it as you were reading the script and you were exploring the character?
Well, I think it was we all know or have a kind of relationship to the great man through his plays and through his language, and to go on a journey of wild imagination to think about who might be the spinal cord of where this man wrote these stories from, and he's the ultimate humanist. And I think you have to know what that is in yourself to be able to write the way he did, and to imagine the woman that might be the container for who that man could have been. Like, none of us know who these people were, and to go on a journey, like Chloé said, of deep love and loss. And anytime you open your heart up to love, there's a potential of loss. And I think Shakespeare in his plays always threads that precipice of life and death. You know, all his great heroes and dramas and comedies, there's always something to be potentially lost or loved in them. So yeah.
Because Emily, you in fact were a part of the Royal Shakespeare Company, and I'm so curious, in some ways I know this question almost sounds a little basic, but to you, what is the ongoing appeal of Shakespeare and his works? Like, why do you think that they sort of speak to us across time in the way that they do?
Well, as Jessie said, he is the ultimate humanist. I think that's a very good way of putting it. Shakespeare changed my life. I mean, I think there's, if you speak to a room full of actors and artists, there won't be many people whose journey didn't start with Shakespeare. And if it's a journey into words, if it's a journey into imagination, creativity, and I think this story has a very unique perspective on this, because Paul talks about the fact that he's not seen in this story as an intellectual. It's very much of about the soul and the gut and I felt my presence. I was kind of the Anglo-Saxon in the room. I was the person who was afraid and closed down, and all these kind of spirits were kind of spinning and wild around me. Very accurate.
Anglo-Saxon.
Well, you know what I mean?
Yes. I love it.
And now, Jacobi, you, of course, are quite young, and I'm so curious for you, what was it like working with this very impressive group of actors? Did you find them to be good actors?
No, of course I did. I mean, if they weren't there, I would have just, I would have had a mental breakdown. The movie is it's so intense and unbelievable what it explores that without people like everyone around me right now, I think it would have been very, very hard to play Hamnet. Yeah.
Chloé, what was it like for you bringing your kind of raw, naturalistic style of filmmaking to a period piece?
A lot of anxiety for the producers. No, every morning they're like, okay, whoa, what's going to happen today? We have to build last minute. Yes, but I'm lucky because I just happened, I wanted to go in there and see how present can we be within reason. Right, create a container, and then how present can we be? So from my actors to my department heads to even people who are scheduling things and producers, everyone understood the most important thing is now historical fact. It's now what we think is going to make this film success or this and that. It's not what's right or wrong. It's what is present. If it's present, then it's true. Then we must capture it, and then we must get coverage to make sure it will work in the edit.
Because Jessie, Paul, the film right now has only played for a handful of audiences, but it's already generated a lot of acclaim, a lot of excitement around it. And I don't know, do the two of you read reviews? How aware are you of how the movie's being received?
I think we're aware that it's gone. But Chloé attacked me with the reviews the next morning. Just like,
how good you are, Paul.
No, I think Telluride for us was a big sigh of relief in terms of you hope that people see the film that we had the intention of making, and I think hearing the top line of what people were saying, I think it was very satisfying to feel like the things that we were interested in as a group of filmmakers was being translated to an audience, because that's always your big fear, is that you think you're making this thing and an audience sees a totally different film. So I was definitely very relieved by the response out of Telluride.
I think as well the greatest kind of feeling is when you tell a story is if the immediate effect is one of emotion and that it's palpable, and the top side acclaim thing is kind of beyond us. We came into this with such raw, open hearts, and to see the power of storytelling welcome people back into feeling, no matter how scary it might be to go on that journey, and know that as an audience you can contain the hardest parts that you can't contain yourself. That is the ultimate accolade. That's all you ever hope for, and it's a very, very rare experience. And to have had those 3 days in the mountains and feel that, when people come out of the cinema and on the streets, that's it.